Chew on this. Bob Alvis, Will Castle, Scott Wilson. We sat down for some NFL talk, just general talkings. This was recorded on Thursday before Jeff Fisher decided to become the head coach of the St. Louis Rams. We talk a lot about the Jets and much, much more. It's Chew on This, some NFL talk on the Sports Buffet podcast. Some more NFL talk on Chew on This, Sports Buffet podcast. Bob Alvis, Will Castle, Scott Wilson. Let's talk some general NFL talk, kind of getting away from the playoffs a little bit. The New York Jets situation. I don't know if you all have been listening to Mike and Mike this week or whatnot, but supposedly some anonymous players came out and ripped. Well, I'm sure they told this on other mediums too, other than Mike and Mike, but some anonymous players ripped Mark Sanchez from the Jets, saying he's lazy, he's not a good leader, basically things that we've known except for the laziness, because I didn't know that, but, thoughts?
Didn't Sanchez also come out and basically say, trade me if you want? I think I saw Sanchez firing back at some point. It just seems like that whole situation's a mess right now. I wouldn't necessarily blame one over the other.
Would you want him if the Redskins were pretty high on him coming in the draft, weren't they? When he was that year he came
I don't really think he's the type of quarterback that the Redskins need. What type would that be? Somebody that can make some plays. That's not necessarily the quote game manager.
So you want?
I feel almost like Sanchez is almost a similar type quarterback to Grossman.
Okay. Really? Okay, I think at a little bit better level, but that's just me.
Well,
that's just me.
I'm not saying. In terms of style.
You want a different.
I'm not saying necessarily get like a running quarterback.
Right. You want a different model though than Rex Grossman.
You want a field general, not a lieutenant. If that makes any sense.
It does. Lieutenant Sanchez.
Yeah. That's what someone like Sanchez, Flacco, Smith on some level, he's getting better. That's what they are, and so like the Redskins, they need a general right now because their defense is not spectacular enough to overtake. The running game is,
Well, I'm sure the Redskins would like to keep the same initials of the quarterback they have now, but just add three on the end of it and go Robert Griffin the third. I would think there's somebody else out there too that would want Mark Sanchez though.
Yeah.
Oh, I think if you get him away from New York, I think that would help.
He's not proven to be bad. And races like Kansas City. Maybe that's
I don't think. Yeah, but they have Matt Castle.
And?
I think Matt Castle is kind of more the guy there. I don't know who the offensive coordinator is in Kansas City now. But, it's that whole Patriot system. Romeo is the head coach now. Pioli's the GM. They got Jamal Charles will be coming back. He's not a Patriot. But, the running game part is there. Matt Castle's a good enough quarterback. I don't know where Sanchez goes, but I think it needs to be to I think if he went in San Francisco, but again, is he an upgrade over Alex Smith? I don't know.
Lateral move.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't think he goes to Seattle, but
Seattle actually might not. But I honestly think he left. He went to the draft early because I think he wanted to get away from Carroll.
Well, and Carroll called him out on that, saying he wasn't ready. So on and so forth like that. So get him somewhere.
Even though a city like Seattle would be, I think, good for a player like that.
If LA got a franchise, or somebody moves there, and they had like a quote-unquote franchise quarterback, who would be the face of LA football at the quarterback position? You get what I'm saying?
No.
Like, does Mark Sanchez fit the LA quarterback?
He seems to have that type of personality.
Right.
Yeah, oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't word that well, but
I've seen your hand down.
Scott still understood me, so that means he's been around me just as long. So, if you wanted an SC guy to play in LA, I think Mark Sanchez has that,
Yeah.
But I just don't think it works. I think LA, playing in the LA media market and playing in the New York media market are, yes, they're both big cities, but they're about as different as, night and day.
Yes.
At the same time. So, but, we've talked about this before. I think with now that Shotty's out with the Jets, Sperano's in as the offensive coordinator, And they might bring in Todd Haley to coach something on the offense, too.
Now,
this thing's just going to be a mess.
Did Shoddy get fired?
Or no, Shoddy, I think it was a mutual.
Left on his own accord, yeah.
Or did he got quit?
I think it was, I think he said, I'm leaving, and I don't think they threw themselves and grabbed onto his ankle and are like, no, don't go. But he's not going to be the OC at Florida because two names I'd heard where he might go were Florida and Alabama if he were to go into college ranks.
Yeah.
Florida hired Boise State's offensive coordinator to be their offensive coordinator. Alabama is rumored to hire Dirk. Is it Cotter or Coder? The guy who used to be at Arizona State.
Oh, I don't know.
Dirk. They're looking at hiring Dirk. He also has been the offensive coordinator, I believe, in Jacksonville.
Apologies to Dirk.
So yes, I mean, I'm sure Schottenheimer finds work.
Yeah.
Somewhere. I don't know what he did before he was an offensive coordinator. I don't know if he was a quarterback coach or, I mean, might have been a receivers coach. Right. He's probably something. Tampa Bay actually was talking to Marty about their head coaching job.
Really?
So, I mean,
Good luck with that.
I think Marty would bring stability to a franchise. I don't know, how inventive or innovative, either one, he would be at this point in his career. But, I don't know if he would be a good fit for Tampa Bay. I just don't know. But Todd Haley, Tony Sparano, and Rex Ryan in New York. As long as you know Rex is a Chief, I think everything goes fine. But, Tony Sparano kind of looks like Tony Clifton to me. The old Andy Kaufman character. You see it?
Excellent, Bob Alvis. I like that. That was good. And yes, he does.
Point for me. But, it's like we've all talked about now. I think we all agree with this. The Jets are just, going downhill.
Yes.
The bus is not going uphill anymore. So
It's not going to the Super Bowl.
No, probably not. Raheem Morris, now a member of the Washington Redskins coaching staff, by the way.
Defensive backs.
I don't think he likes the move of the Redskins.
I don't dislike it. I mean, if he's a good coach, then
I heard he was a
fine.
great secondary coach.
I mean, the Redskins need to totally redo their secondary, so what better thing to do than bring in a different coach? I read the Redskins also got rid of Keenan McCardell as their wideouts coach.
Is that
I mean, they need.
You're just breaking news to us on the podcast.
Yes, there you go.
Okay. I didn't know if this was going to be a how dare they get rid of Keenan McCardell In other news, the Jets got rid of Henry Ellard as their receivers coach. I mean, a lot of these.
I like Henry Ellard.
I feel like I'm getting older because a lot of these people I remember when they played. I don't remember everything about them when they played, but I remember their names when they played. Bill Callahan, by the way, going to Dallas as the offensive line coach.
Really?
Former Nebraska coach and former Oakland Raiders coach. Yep. So, and Jeff Fisher, as of this moment, 8:30ish on a Thursday, January 12th, still trying to decide between the Dolphins and Rams. I'd go Rams if it were me.
I've heard kind of wide differing opinions on that from different people on where he's going to end up.
Rams did 2 more interviews today. Denver's defensive coordinator and Rob Chudzinski. He was the OC somewhere.
Unless it's Rob Gronkowski.
No, not Rob Gronkowski.
Is Fisher considering head coach or coordinator?
Of course, head coach.
Okay, I don't know. I'd almost. Miami's a nicer city to live in than St. Louis.
But St. Louis, I think you can win easier.
Easier to win.
Oh, yes.
So, we'll see. One of my random questions, which we all enjoy.
It was a random question.
Did you enjoy it, though?
Yeah, it's not bad. 4
NFL players who are on the NFL playoff Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Did you mean this season or all time?
I meant all time.
Okay, I wasn't quite.
We have a small sample size for
we
that.
can discuss. I haven't written mine down yet, so probably should have.
I thought you meant all time, but it was like
chicken scratch.
Go ahead, somebody.
Go ahead.
All right.
That's Susan.
Okay. Joe Montana.
Right, that's the first name I wrote.
3-time Super Bowl MVP. I did a little homework here.
We love that about this podcast.
I had 3 quarterbacks in here. Bart Starr, MVP of Super Bowls 1 and 2. I put a lot of credence in Super Bowl.
Okay. Well, that is kind of part of the question.
Yeah.
Playoff.
I had my favorite Fox NFL Sunday host, Terry Bradshaw.
Okay.
4 Super Bowls, 2 MVPs. And then for my 4th, I went with a little departure. I went with Mr. Bill Belichick.
Oh, so he was coaches too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I figured he has as much credit for the Super Bowl performance as anyone.
Yeah.
3 wins, 1 loss. I pick up. That's my Rushmore.
I would say Bradshaw and Montana.
I have those as well, and my 4.
It's kind of hard not to put Lombardi in that.
I put him as one of mine too. I mean, for God's sakes, the award's named after him.
Yeah.
He still is there in every one of them.
But it was this close to being called the Landry Trophy, though. This close.
But it's not. It's called the Lombardi Trophy.
I know. Alternate universe. We'll look on. Who's your
alternate universe? Denver wins Week 17 against Kansas City too.
True that.
His 4th was
Montana, Belichick, Star, and Bradshaw.
Belichick. Star.
Yeah. Yes. So it was Lombardi, Star.
Yeah.
Same team.
Ah,
It's going to pick.
Here, while you're thinking, let me throw mine in.
Right.
Joe Gibbs.
I'll be okay with that.
3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks.
Can't argue.
I mean, other than that, I mean, and then I have another question here. Are you still thinking, or you just want to wave the white flag?
I'll wave the white flag.
Okay.
I can't think of anyone else, like, oh yeah.
We're going to make Mount Rushmore interesting here. The NFL playoff moment, Mount Rushmore. Maybe your four real memorable moments from the NFL playoffs all time. No preparation done on this one because it's just throwing spur of the moment, folks.
Norwood, wide right.
Okay. Let's go kind of around the table and we'll just keep naming things. Frank Reich getting the Bills back from 35-3 over Houston in the wild card round. Notice I said playoffs. I didn't say Super Bowl. Rushmore.
Yeah.
Scott Wilson.
I think you got to put the Tyree / touchdown to Burris there.
We're not going to go all night on this. We'll go a few more rounds though.
The catch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the catch.
Right.
I mean, he's kind of
the immaculate reception, perhaps.
Music City Miracle.
Just beat me to that one.
Oh, that's a good one.
That was so good.
Now, how about the Leon Lett?
I give credit to Don Beebe.
Hustling.
I mean, that game was done. And Beebe like shrewd as shit.
I mean, for Redskins fans, it's the Riggins run against the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm. Saints fans, it's the onside kick.
More than the interception return.
I think so. I think the onside kick really got it.
The St. Louis New England game where they're just rushing to get to that ball and kick a last-second field goal.
Yeah. Or how about St. Louis and Tennessee where?
Last
1 inch.
Kevin Dyson stopped on, and I was convinced, correct me if I'm wrong, that game was tied, like, late, and then Warner hit Isaac.
Yeah.
I think it was
Isaac.
Bruce.
They had to score, they had to tie it.
And that was like, I think when Warner hit Isaac Bruce for that touchdown, it was long, for one, and I think it was like less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I would also maybe say the Harrison pick against Arizona. Run back at the end of the
99 yards, yeah.
Gotta throw.
That dude was winded.
Gotta throw the Joe Namath guarantee
in
there. And, he could actually, I think, be argued for the...
one game.
Yeah, but it was a big game. I mean, it kind of turned the... I mean, some people say it changed the NFL in a way. I mean, the AFL...
Well, in that book of mine, that's up in there with the conspiracy, whether or not that game was rigged.
Well, it could have been. I don't know. But I'm just saying, I think, for one-game performance in the playoffs, I mean, granted, Joe Namath's stats aren't good for that game, I'm pretty sure, but, no one remembers, no one remembers how many points Willis Reed scored when he hobbled out against the Lakers that time. Mm-hmm. It was 4. But no one remembers that. I mean,
no one has the vast knowledge.
Right. People just remember the moments, so...
I'll throw out one last moment
Please.
in the playoffs. Tebow to Thomas.
Could be the...
The start of a dynasty.
What if we had to put maybe the 4 most memorable teams? And this one's probably going to be a Super Bowl winning team.
You mean from one year? One specific year?
Yes. I go 86 Bears. That defense was just filthy.
I mean, it's like, for me personally, the 92 Cowboys.
Right.
You know.
I think one of those 49er teams will be on there.
Yeah.
I don't know which one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could put... John Elway's kind of had a real up and down of Mount Rushmore's in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Too. And I mean, if we were to put franchises on the Mount Rushmore, I think you could throw the Bills on there.
You made it to 4 Super Bowls.
I mean,
might have lost them all, but they
4 in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the... I wonder if the Bills will ever be given, really, the credit
No.
that they do. Because nowadays, it's, that's almost impossible.
Yeah.
To do that. I mean...
Almost.
If anybody made
Texas
4
Rangers
straight...
might be...
Right, they could be approaching
that.
But I mean, to me that's just it's a remarkable achievement. Have you ever watched any of the old Redskins Super Bowls?
I've seen highlights, but
Okay.
I have... I mean, I remember the last one, but
Right.
not the other two.
You had to be young for that one, though, too.
What, the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 6.
Yeah, okay. I think sometimes they show those on the NFL Network. I'll just maybe watch I remember distinctly the Doug Williams Super Bowl, because my mom was actually in D.C. for a conference.
Really?
And she'd call me on the phone, and I said I was going to, pig out on, I'm a little kid about, I think, 8 or 9. And I'm going to pig out on food, and I'm going to have, it was my dad not there. I was going to just, eat junk food to the max.
Yeah.
I got sick that day. And I'm like...
Surprise.
I'm like, I'm going to... No, before I even... It was
okay.
like early in the afternoon. This was before they even had the 5-hour pregame. I got sick probably at the beginning at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock. And I'm like... When she called me back, I'm like, I'm going to pig out. I'm going to pig out on soup. So, there's my... You got any Super Bowl memories? Anything that stand out?
I mean, it's one of those of when Dallas won it in '92. It was for me. It was like a mental relief of going through elementary school and then high school, just getting beaten to the fact that they sucked so much.
Right.
And then that was my senior year, and then they won. And I'm like, the world has been lifted. The world's back on the shoulder now because
Yeah.
I mean, the Saints Super Bowl is honestly not that special to me. I mean, I'm a Saints fan, but not like I am, a Yankees fan per se.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. And, I do remember giving a big, loud clap, which I normally don't do on the pick. But, other than that, I mean, it's, I think I'm more of a fan of the NFL as a whole. Like to where I can't watch baseball in the World Series once the Yankees have been put out. It's just hard. I mean, I watch a little bit, but it's just hard. Top 10 fantasy players for next year.
Well, you wrote some shit.
I did actually write down on this part. Did you?
No.
Okay. Thanks.
I did.
David Akers can only carry you so far in life, though, man. Do you want
You want me to go?
Yes.
All right. And these aren't necessarily in an order.
Oh,
but
I put mine in order, but anyway.
It probably is. I had the 3 big quarterbacks: Breeze, Rodgers, Brady.
In that order?
That's the order I wrote it down. Ray Rice, your boy.
Yep. Got him third.
Fig,
Got him 8.
gonna have a good year. Megatron,
Got him 6.
throw in a wideout. I think this is probably the last year that he will qualify for this category, but I put Maurice Jones-Drew in there.
Okay. I didn't.
Arian Foster,
Got him
stays
5th.
healthy. Matthew Stafford,
Got him 9.
and LaShawn McCoy.
Got him 4th. I have a surprise in my top
Right.
10. Jamal Charles, 10.
Doesn't get hurt.
There always seems to be one running
I
back
think
that
Kansas
comes out.
City, Romeo is going to, I think, run the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, even Kansas City, they have decent weapons, but, I think they're going to run the ball.
So you think that injury to AP really hurts him? Is it in your
Top 10, yes. Overall.
Yeah, I didn't put him in.
I mean, that's not going to be a Terrell Owens moment where you lean over and say, "Who's he playing for?" I say no one. It's not going to be like that. But I don't think Adrian Peterson gets taken until like the third round or so. I mean,
I'm not
especially
taking him with the fifth pick.
especially if he's going to, because he's supposedly not going to be ready for week 1.
Really?
I mean, he would be like a few games in.
Yeah, I think they said he might miss the first month.
Yeah. So,
Any other?
but maybe it's the case too where you draft him early and then just you draft 3 running backs right away. You know, I don't know.
You said what? Gronkowski was like listed.
Gronkowski was in the top 10 of Matthew Berry's. Because they made a point, if you take away all of Gronkowski's touchdowns, his numbers are still.
Well, then why wouldn't
Just off the
Jimmy
charts.
Graham be right up there?
Well, I think tight ends are going to become. I think as a whole, I think you'll see tight ends taken a lot earlier than you have.
Do you think after this season, people are going to take quarterbacks with the first pick more than they have been in the last few years?
You know, I don't know because the league is so.
I think it really really depends on what type of league you're in.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Fickle?
No, cycles.
Cyclical?
That word.
Fervent?
I think the league runs in such cycles. I just think it'll depend. I think in order for the league to go back to running the ball first rather than passing the ball first, which I think it is a lot now, I think the defenses are going to have to get better. I don't think people are going to do it on their own free will type of thing. But, we'll see.
Do you believe in, let's say...
Miracles? Clemson doesn't.
Well, they just got a foul, so...
Oh, well, maybe they do. Never mind.
Do you believe that in a, say, 10-team league, someone like Gronkowski or Graham would get drafted first round?
I don't think so.
That would be that would be one hell of a risk.
That would be the one where everyone else is on the chat going, "What? What was that?"
Right. How much? If you were in an auction league, how much would you spend on them?
$200 to $100 limit.
$100 limit. For Clemson.
$8 maybe.
On Gronkowski or Graham?
Yeah, it's one of those, because I do auction, like it's hard for me to put a tight end. Put that much money on the tight end.
I see him going like 15 or so. I'm sorry. My question more of where do you see them going?
Yeah. I mean, here's the chances are that if we do auction next year, I'll probably make him one of my first picks,
right? Just
to try to get someone to overpay for his ass.
Yeah. My good friend Greg Ryder, he always considered himself such a savant of the tight ends, where he would, go for he'd do like the Virginia Tech thing. He'd try to find the diamond in the rough at tight ends, and he hasn't hit it for 3 or 4 years.
I like that job title, savant of tight ends. Put that on a business card.
Yeah, no kidding, no kidding.
You might get a job as ESPN.
And you know what? If you out there have any questions on fantasy or anything else, please email me, thesportsbuffet@gmail.com, and we'll throw it on, chew on this to see what you would like to chew on.